Hello, everybody. It's Ron and Hope Unfiltered. We are so glad to be in your house, in your car, your bathroom, your kitchen, your workspace, wherever you are.
That kind of don't sound right. I don't want to be in their bathroom. I'm just going to be honest with you.
They could be doing their hair, their makeup. That's what we do in the morning.
It's just the thought of it, I don't like it.
We listen to podcasts in the morning. That's what we women do.
I don't want to go in your bathroom with you, but I'm glad you're watching.
I'm so glad
I'm sucking on this cough drop.
Me too, because I've been coughing.
Well, you've been coughing.
I've been sick for 3 weeks, and I've taken 3 COVID tests every Monday.
Baby, you have people thinking they can get COVID
negative.
through the computer if you say stuff like that right there. You can't tell people you've been coughing for 3 weeks.
I have.
Been allergies from all the traveling?
It is allergy.
Okay.
Yes, I'm draining.
It hadn't hurt your sleeping at all, had it?
And itchy ears, but I haven't got COVID because I've had it like 4 times already.
Like our worship leader. I was telling somebody our worship leader said COVID about 23 times, I think. Wish we have somebody on quarantine.
She's never been tested, I don't think.
She's from the country, bless her heart, and she
claims it.
She just rolls with it.
She claims COVID.
She ain't thinking about no kind of protection in any way whatsoever. So anyway.
I am. Look at us in our black today.
This is our first time.
Like we're going to a funeral.
Being together in a while. They've had to watch me do 1 or 2 of these without you, and
my hair's sticking.
I don't think they liked it. I don't think the numbers did it good when you were
here. One of our producers told me he didn't like it at all. Did
he really say that?
He said Ron.
Well, he works for Ron Carpenter Ministries. I'll deal with that.
Ron was just it felt like Ron was just preaching.
All right, I'll call him when this is over.
He said,
Anyway,
he said it's much more fun when
I'm on here. I did really
here.
Good though. I really did good. I had a lot of good things to say.
Did you always do?
But I didn't clown around much.
You're not real
because you're
clowny.
a major distraction.
Am I?
To my seriousness.
Mm.
I'm trying to be serious.
Well, I haven't
seen you in a while.
I know. Well, don't start.
It's been a while. You got in late last night and you brought 2 grandkids home with you. I did.
Yeah.
I got in my house last night and my grandkids are at my house from South Carolina.
You knew they were coming.
No.
Here's day 1 today, and we've already had a fight. Kellen's they raced up and down the hall.
No, not me and you fought.
No,
I had time
the
to fight.
kids.
Okay.
And they were racing up and down the hall, and Kellen slammed into this huge 4-foot planter and shattered it everywhere on the ground and almost broke his knee. I mean, it's been interesting already. It's boys. Boys will be boys.
I told you they were going to liven things up when they got there.
I love it.
We have a special guest with a special topic.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of forfeit to you because I know her through you, but it's a relationship that has sprung up and become very meaningful to you. And I want you to introduce her appropriately and then kind of tell everybody where we're going. Because the fact is, I don't really preach a success gospel. I believe highly in success. I believe the promise of God in Abraham is I'll make your name great. I'll make you great. I'll bless those who bless you. So I believe it is a covenant promise that God wants me to rise in whatever I do.
Yes.
But I believe
because we're kingdom people.
Yes, but I believe greater than success is significance. Mm. In other words, do something in the earth, whether it be business, whether it be ministry, no matter what it is, do something where you leave your print on it, where people can tell it was different because you were there. And so I'm excited about being able to talk about people in ministry or in business, but who want to see it elevate and do it God's way. Yeah. I'll let you take it from here.
So my buddy Tamra Andress is with us today. There she is, my sweet friend. And you've been knowing us in the ministry for many, many years, but how we actually met was on your podcast about my book last year. Isn't that pretty cool?
It's so amazing. And God is so cool because he introduced me to you through a third party. Person who ordained me was someone who was at your all's university and college together back in the day. And so it's just been neat to see how God's been moving since day 1 before we ever knew a conversation like this would unfold.
I know. It's so cool how God just orders our steps, brings people into our life. And you have been such a major how could I say it? A B12 shot for me.
Encourager.
Yes.
Major encourager.
Yes. You still didn't get me on the beach doing that exercise, though, at the girlfriend's getaway. You waved, and I just waved at you. I said, you're doing so good.
Wait a minute. You were exercising?
Yeah, she
You
exercised.
You were trying to get her to exercise? How did that go?
It didn't go.
How did that
She
go?
laughed at me. And she ordered French fries.
And I
Papa's
ordered
French
French fries.
She
Yeah.
ordered French fries and ate a pizza that night and fried chicken the next morning.
But we had a blast,
Yeah, but
right?
she looked
Okay.
so good in her bikini, so it didn't even matter.
Okay.
My granny bikini.
As long as she can aesthetically pull it off, I guess she's all right. Go ahead. I'm going to eat the hot coffee.
Anyway, Tamra has her hands in so many buckets, and I don't know what she's eating and drinking, but she's got the Energizer Bunny on her side. Tamra, just share a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you're doing. I know you just got back from your anniversary trip, so I know that's why you're grinning so big, but just tell the listeners who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Don't assume anything. Tell them about your world.
Yes.
Tell them what your
All
world's
right.
like.
I'm going to bring you inside my world, which,
Okay.
as you can see, if you're watching, is very colorful, with intention. I know that so many of us have lived a life that isn't always so bright. And so it's some of my biggest passions to bring joy and B12. I'm going to use that hope all the time now into other people's lives. But my name, like they said, is Tamra Andress, and the Fit in Faith media team or ministry, I believe business is ministry, was catapulted after a season of darkness, after a time frame of working the grind, the American dream, I like to call it, the rat race, if you will. I was an entrepreneur for a decade, and I got really burnt out. I got really overwhelmed, and I found myself hiding in plain sight. And I don't know if that means anything to you, but it's one of the reasons that Hope and I connect so well, because we are really good at putting on the face, and we found ourselves starved for love and starved for the attention that we ultimately wanted to see and hear and feel from God. And so when I had an opportunity to reemerge, I call it a quarter life crisis. Thank goodness, thank God it didn't happen later. My reemergence happened with this company because it's for founders, innovators, and trailblazers, no different than anybody listening. You can all wear that hat. You can all claim that title, because God calls us movers and shakers for the kingdom. And I got to reposition myself as a daughter of the King in business world, in the marketplace, because that's where my natural gifts and interests and talents lie. And that's in teaching and training and growing people into their God dream, into their businesses. And so I do it a lot of different ways, whether it's in podcasting, whether it's in business coaching or retreat settings. And one of the ways we get to collaborate again here soon is in a conference situation that's happening in Nashville. So I'm always on the move, and I eat very healthy. Ron and I are on the same team when it comes
you
to
are. You really are. But I'm over here just spicing it up for y'all.
Let's go. Let's go. I need some spice. I need some sweet tooth.
So I go home and I see what she's got on the stove, and I just shake my head, because I'm in this terrible spot, because if she cooks and you don't eat what she cooks, that's not going to end well.
No,
but if you eat what she cooks, then you know what, those of you that have studied it, you know what it's doing while it gets in there. And so I'm put in this dilemma.
I cook so healthy for you. I do HelloFresh.
You have started doing HelloFresh.
I do our green
you put a
chef.
you put a little gravy on it, but you're
Yes.
doing HelloFresh.
Some extra butter, some extra gravy.
So
Hey,
here's the HelloFresh, and I say, what's this? So I'm making
whipped up a sauce.
I'm making a little gravy over here on the side.
It's a sauce, not a gravy. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, I'm not going to uncover you no more. Go ahead.
With the seasoning, with the like sauces, all the extra thing. Like there's a rap song that's a Christian rap song. Don't worry, and it's I got the sauce. I got the sauce, and it just reminds me of you.
Oh, yay!
I'm making this sauce. Well, what are you making it out of? Well, I took the bacon grease from yesterday morning, and
Ron, you are lying.
Okay.
That you about to get struck by lightning.
Okay.
I don't do that. But anyway, back to Tamra. Tamra, let's talk about this conference in November, because I'm so excited about it. And I want the listeners, we are doing this podcast in time for our listeners to hear about the conference so they can come join us. They can tell their business friends, the entrepreneurs.
Can boys come?
Can boys come? Yes. There's
It's
many.
all human party.
Yes.
All welcome.
All right.
So first of all,
we did it intentionally, because I do hear this often that we are often a women-centric company. I have pink in my brand, so people think that I don't invite men, but my husband looks good in pink.
Yeah.
So guys are invited. We have some incredible speakers that will be there, both men and women. And the heartbeat behind it, and one of the reasons I wanted you to be there, Hope, was because there is a necessary emergency. I'm going to say that weird after COVID. People are probably like, no more catastrophes, no more emergencies. But I'm saying it because I am seeing a rise in the business in ministry concept. The marketplace ministers are really stepping out and starting to speak and teach and share. And they're doing so shamelessly. And if y'all know Hope, which you must because you're hanging out here on the Unfiltered show, she's shameless about her faith. And she's shameless in such a way that is so authentic and true that people need to know and not shun away from money, not shun away from profitability, not shun away from a wild idea, because those are God-given things. And he's intended for you to be prosperous, no different than Ron and Hope are prosperous.
Right.
And so I want to bring people together that get that. And so when I talk about like-mindedness, there's tons of conferences, virtual summits, holy moly, tons of podcasts that are for the like-minded. You have an interest, and so you tune in. But when you get energetically in a space like it is when you're at Redemption Church of a like-heartedness, you feel family. And family and faith are two things that aren't often celebrated in business as much as they should be. And so that's one of the reasons that we're coming together. But there's a plethora of tactics and tips and tricks and actual tangibles that people will leave with.
And let's talk about the speakers. Who all will be there?
We've got
You got a great lineup.
We really do.
He said, I want to talk.
I want you to talk. I didn't know you were going to be there. If you are, you have a stage anytime. I really want to have it, as I've just mentioned, like family's not talked about a lot in business, is I want to have a marriage panel, and you guys would be incredible to be on it because it's important for people to realize I have an entrepreneur husband as well. And so we are both entrepreneurs, and that can be very friction filled.
Stressful.
Yeah. Like whose dream takes priority? What's most important at this point?
Yeah.
How are we going to train the kids up in this way? Oh, we're both busy. Now what happens? Right. And there can be friction on what we invest in versus what we don't. And I want those conversations to be wide open. So other people that will be there that could help in even this conversation are people like Alexander, who is just an amazing, energetic, if you're talking about B12, he's got it. Gonzalez. We've got Pastor Anthony Hart. We've got Renee Bob. Some names that you might know are Tim Story. He was and is the life coach to celebrities, specifically Oprah Winfrey. Patrice Washington. Are you guys familiar with Patrice? I love her. She's the money maven. She was on the Steve Harvey show for 6 years, and she has so much wisdom. And I could go on and on. You might not know the names, but you will know them, and you will never forget them after you experience them on stage.
And there's something, Tamra, that's so exciting, that's different, that you always just specialize in going the extra mile. You really do. And it is the anthology that is coming out with all of these speakers who are now authors, co-authors in the book. Let's talk about the book.
Yeah, this was
some questions I want to ask. You just keep running through all these things.
Okay, go. Ask
I'll let her.
question.
You finish yours, then I'm gonna go back. I got something I want to ask. Okay,
so the anthology is called The Joyful Entrepreneur, and we talked about that B12. We talked about the color and the vibrancy as a constant reminder of the promise of God, and that's in our businesses, our prosperity and our abundance too. And so I wanted entrepreneurs from both the pastoral lens, the church front, as well as from the marketplace to come together with a blended front, speaking about the principles, the presence, and the power of God in their businesses and how they are profitable, and not shy away from that conversation question that I often feel people will, especially in the church, and I'd love to hear your opinion on that, Ron. I get a lot of pressure in that realm on not being a nonprofit or not being a ministry and it not being God's work. And
that's where I'm going to go when Hope gives me my opportunity.
Okay.
But go ahead and finish. You want me to go ahead and go there?
No. Let her finish the book.
Okay.
Let her finish the book.
So the anthology is bringing together 20 authors to speak about these different things, and they're all answering questions through the lens of their own experience and testimony. And it's going to be utilized as a resource. I use an anthology currently as I walk people through in my mastermind. And so I know it's going to be so supportive to the people who are still in the questioning realm, or they haven't broken that upper limit of limiting belief on their own ability to use faith and business. It's not faith or business.
Yeah.
It's not faith. It's with business. It's together. And this was his idea. I didn't come up with this. I'm just stewarding it.
Yeah, because that's who you are. If you are a Christian, right? I mean, that you are a faith-filled person. You don't separate them. It's who you are. It can never be put on a shelf to go do your business. It all integrates together. So I just celebrate you for talking about it, making people talk about it, taking away the shame and the taboo of actually being successful. Who doesn't want to be successful? Yeah. Everybody does. Nobody says, oh, I just hope to be poor this year or make less than I made last year. That's just wonderful. That's what I want. Nobody wants that. We all want to succeed. But you're right. In the church, there is this type of taboo that, we've got to suffer for Jesus, or we can't have too much. Right? So I'm sure that goes right into what you were going to ask.
Yeah, I'm going to get highly spiritual here in the next few minutes. You hit on something that is a hot button with me. I don't know where that started. I don't know the origin of that belief. It is I'm a really common sense guy, but we're living in a day and age where common sense is almost a superpower. It's almost like a gift, because we have education running out our ears, and that's what the Bible says, ever learning but never coming to a knowledge of the truth. And I don't know where it started, but one of the most difficult battles Hope and I have fought is when God started blessing us.
It's so true.
Mm-hmm.
When we had nothing, nobody was mad at us. Nobody was mad at us.
Like, you stay right there.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any enemies. Yeah. But what I can't get people to understand is, no, Jesus did not come and die and be raised on the third day to make sure Ron had plenty of money.
No.
But he gives you the keys of the kingdom. And if you apply the principles of God,
they work
in ministry, in business, in home, in personal life, it is impossible not to rise.
It's true.
It gives your whole life what I call what an airplane has. It has the law of lift. Yeah. And it causes you to defy the law of gravity that wants to pull you down. The blessing of God for honoring his principles is a very real thing, be it business, be it nonprofit, it doesn't matter. And I want to see the day where the stigma against profitability is broken, because the same people that'll get mad because you take an offering, that'll get mad if they see men or women of God blessed, they want the church to change the world.
Or they get mad if you charge $59.
Yeah.
$59 is too much for some people to pay to come to something.
In Hope's ear, so if you don't have a seat to her next retreat, it ain't going to be that cost ever again.
But
I'll tell anybody about it.
I do get complaints if I put like a registration fee on anything, and I know people. I got a business friend of mine in the security business that paid $10,000 to go be with Tony Robbins.
Yep.
And but a Christian don't want to pay $59 to hear truth that can elevate their life and change it and revolutionize it forever. That mindset, I've tried my best to break it, but I'm going to tell you, it's a deep one. It's a deep one. When Hope and I first started walking in our blessings, Tamra, I'm not screaming, I'm passionate.
He's getting passionate.
I feel you, brother. This is it.
When God really started elevating our life and turning our life around, Hope and I were extremely generous. Me and Hope are extravagant givers.
We are.
Extremely generous givers. We live our life by a set of values that we're very dedicated to. I could go on. And then immediately life began to elevate, And literally, I felt such pressure from the church community that if I got anything nice, I would hide it.
Yeah.
I bought my first nice car, which was a used one, but it was a nice car. And I named it literally Night Rider because I wouldn't drive it unless it was nighttime. Because I would catch such grief if anybody saw me in it. So I want to say kudos to you.
Yeah.
Kudos to this conference, and kudos to people with and like you, like my wife, who we need to break the stigma of poverty, lack, and just getting by off of God's people.
Yeah.
Life was meant to be lived, not survived.
No.
And when you do things right and you do things God's way, it's impossible not to prosper.
And you know, even the Bible says the poor will be with you always, always. But how are we supposed to help the poor if we don't have anything?
Right, right.
You
And,
know,
you know, when people talk about like being fruitful and multiplying, for a long time, I thought that that was just me having more babies. And I was like, this is just a womb thing.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a bank account thing. It's a blessing thing. It's a fruit of the spirit thing.
Yes.
The more joy I have, people don't like that. People don't like when you walk into a room and you got joy or you got that B12 up your sleeve.
Right.
They're like, why is she so happy? I'm like, well, I got the joy of the Lord. You want some? Right. But they don't want it. They want everyone to be in this state of zombie, which is why I talk about that from a rat wheel American dream, is like herd mentality. Everyone needs to be kind of blinded, the scales upon their eyes versus lifted and free, and actually saying like, this is me. This is where God is leading me. And we get to point to the glory of God when we're gifted these things. And it's not about us, but when we are stewards of what is gifted to us, and God gets to be the conduit through our mouth, through our money, through anything that's given to you, you have plenty for other people to receive. I don't have to walk around scarcity mentality or poverty mindset. I can walk around in abundance and know that if I spent every dollar I had, I wouldn't be scared because I've seen God work. But I don't have to do that because I've multiplied from an investment perspective. And so we can talk about revenue streams and profitability all day long. And that's something I want to see the church do better at, which is why conferences charging $59 is not going to cut it. I get to see John Maxwell with you guys at your church in a couple of months. And I saw the price of the ticket and I'm like, we have to have a coaching call.
Look,
she said we've got to have a call.
When John Maxwell saw the price, he texted me, he's like, for real?
Right.
And the fact is, can I just be real? We're real, raw, and unfiltered. I'm going to take a huge hit on that conference.
We will.
Yes, you are.
Huge hit. Ron Carpenter Ministries is going to take a huge hit because if I filled my registration up, it would not touch the bills that I'm going to have. But the thing is, I realize that I'm trying to take the people somewhere. So I'm trying, if I can get them in the room, then maybe I can help with the mindset.
You know, we don't mind paying for it just blows my mind. People don't mind going and paying for their fingernails, $65. And you got to do it every 2 weeks. 2 weeks, because it's just things that fade away. Our roots, our hair, all of the things.
You get your roots done for $60?
No. I didn't say the price of that, but it fades away. But people don't mind
I have to take out a second mortgage to do her roots. But anyway, go ahead.
I'm going to leave that right there.
Go ahead.
Okay. But that it just frustrates me at the fact that we will go do our nails, we'll do our hair, and we'll go get a new outfit for a women's conference, but don't want to give $100 in an offering. It blows my mind.
It's a frustrating mindset. And when you said
the coaching world, objections. Right? Essentially, the church is objecting anything because they are justifying their comfort. And they're saying, God's not going to take from me. So why is my pastor taking from me? Meanwhile, you're literally grabbing it and you're putting it over here. It's literally growing everything that they're taking advantage of on a consistent basis.
Wow.
And so it's something that they need to stop and not look at as it's going in your bank account, regardless of what you buy. It's going to bless them further because you're multiplying the kingdom.
Exactly. I tell people, you got to get out of the mindset again that what's leaving your hand is leaving your life.
It's not.
It's not leaving your life. You're moving it from one place to another place where they promised from God return.
Yeah.
It is the principle of investment, which is a very biblical principle. Jesus chastised the master of the garden because he did not do anything with the garden.
Yeah.
And he came back, and a tree that wasn't growing, he said, cut it down. Cut it down. And so to be fruitful and multiply means that your life is a garden. And that your life should be producing everywhere you go. My goal is that everywhere I go in life, when I leave, people know I've been there. See, to me, that's being fruitful and multiplying. I also want to say, because I know we have limited time, and you pressed a lot of my buttons while you were just talking.
Good.
I think you made the right decision not going nonprofit.
Yeah.
Because when you're for profit, you can spend your money any way you want to, invest it any way you want to, build whatever you want to, as long as you pay taxes. In the nonprofit world where I am, yes, there are tax incentives, but I come under such compliance.
Yeah.
There are so many compliance issues, and John Maxwell years ago caught great grief because when he went took his entire ministry at that time, which is now business, into the for-profit world. And I mean, preachers just started eating him alive. And I thought, that's brilliant.
Yep.
That's brilliant because now he's no longer governed by what he can do with his proceeds. And so I just say kudos to you. I think that is the right move. I think you're going to see it's an ever-evolving and growing move. And I have even in my own life contemplated in one or two of our areas, we have about 8 entities moving it in that area because the marketplace, if we're ever going to see a move of God, it's going to be hard for it to happen behind stained glass windows. Yeah. It's going to be out in the marketplace where real people are.
Yeah.
And
I think, honestly, if you think about it, this is discipleship, right? Discipleship is something that you really have to walk hand in hand with people consistently. How many couples therapies have you guys been in to support a couple one time, another time, another time? Yeah. How many conversations and calls do you take on a consistent basis that take away from all of the other needles that you also are still responsible to move, and all of the other hearts that you're still carrying, let alone your team that's constantly there to be supported by you? And so when I think about discipleship from a coaching perspective, I need to support my person multiple times a week or monthly. And that is an investment that should be a reciprocation of energy. And money is just energy. They're looking to strip all the energy you got, and it's got to be free. And it's terrible to think then that if you have a night rider that you should be riding around in shame when they are coming consistently like the poor pauper.
To take from you.
I'm constantly trying to I don't know that this was the intent of the conversation, but actually I think it's gone to a good place.
Yeah.
I like what we're doing. I had a very powerful money testimony about 3 weeks ago. Not a lot of money, but I try to tell people if God blesses you, the power you hold in your hand to do good.
Right.
Because money is a powerful thing. It can be used for powerful blessing. It can be used for powerful evil. But it has no spirit of its own. I tell people it takes on the spirit of whoever holds it. Mm. And so I was in a place in Ohio. We had just left vacation. I had a speaking engagement, and I just needed a haircut. I was shaggy looking. I was going on a big platform the next night, and I needed a haircut. So literally somewhere in Ohio, random person, random appointment, the kind that would scare a girl to death. I went in there and just had someone I'd never seen before in another state cut my hair. Okay.
Oh, goodness.
And it was one girl. I told Hope, I said, you can tell it was one of those wild childs. You could just tell she had made bad decisions and reap the consequences of those decisions. She just had that look. She's a young lady and probably in her late 20s. And she sat there, and I just saw the look on her face. And I asked her, I was sitting in a chair, I said, are you all right? And she said, my sister just got murdered. I think she said 4 days ago. Said her boyfriend did it. He's in jail. He's being held for trial and this and that and other. And she seemed maybe like she was a little sedated, trying to deal with anxiety and stuff. She was very close to her sister. Her parents are deceased, and her sister had a 3-year-old child. She's now having to keep the child. It was a bad situation. And she was in there doing my hair. And it's just a haircut, so she charged me like $45. And I paid her the $45. Then I reached in another pocket and I pulled out two $100 bills. And I laid it in her hand. And I said, can I pray for you? And she had just got through telling me how she'd been seeking psychics and mediums to try to get better. And I said, can I pray for you? And she looked at me confused and she said, I can't accept that. I said, no. I said, I'm a Christian. I said, this is what I do. I put it in her hand and I prayed for her.
It opened the door.
And she squalled.
Yeah.
She followed me all the way out the door, all the way to the parking lot, getting the website of my church, getting the times of our services, wants to know more about Jesus, everything. What did it? Pulling $200 bills out of my pocket.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if I see that lady in heaven one day and she says, you came to my place and that gift opened up my heart and allowed me to think, well, maybe Jesus is my answer. And if I could just get people to understand, this is not a bad thing for God to bless you. You have tremendous ability to do good in the world. And without it, you can be a dreamer. But if money and people do not come to your dreams, it will remain a dream.
It will.
You got to have people.
And you got to have money.
And you got to have money.
Yeah.
I had a vision for a multicultural church that spanned coast to coast. But if I don't have great people and I don't have great resources, I'm just going to lay in bed at night and dream.
Gotta have it.
If people would understand, let's get rid of the stigma of just getting by and understand the Good Samaritan was able to change the guy's life because he put him on his own donkey, took him to a hotel and said, send me the bill.
Yes.
Well, he sure did. And I think there is, honestly, as you're sharing that story, we were just in Mexico, and you guys know how far money goes when it's not in America, right? And that blessing moment where you get to just shock and awe someone. And I actually, the first time it happened, because I forget the change of peso to dollar, I'm like, how much money did you just give them? And he's like, I think $4. And they're literally sitting there just like eyes wide open. And we walk away and they're going, like, so excited. And I'm like, we need to get all the money we can. I just want to like throw it to all of these people. But there is also the antithesis. And I have been burned by someone who put God in the forefront of the way that they did business and used him as a pawn because they knew I was Christian.
Sure.
And so there are 3 questions that we as a family always ask before we make any decision. This is a financial decision or just like, where are we going to go do this thing with this person? A relational decision. Is it for good? Is it safe? And is it for God? And a lot of people just say, oh, it's God. But there's also the safety and the goodness that you have to sense. And goodness is a fruit of the Spirit. Yeah. And that's an element of wealth that you have to look for. And that's what you're talking about, Ron, is like, what does their garden say about who they are? And that is an element of exchange. And you see this all the time in your ministry. The people that you're surrounded with are incredibly indebted. I've been a recipient of your giving, and it's amazing to see the continued gifting that God is bringing to your ministry. It's been so cool to see you move across coast. And I can't wait to get out to the West Coast campus either. But I just want people to know that we do see that there has been tainting, both from the church and also from the marketplace. Yeah. And that's why being a steward and also being connected to the Holy Spirit, when you have the intuition, when the Spirit dwells within you, that's where discernment comes into play. Yeah. And so I just got off a call with a husband of a woman because he was like, I need to ask you a couple questions before I make this investment. And I'm like, I'm an open book. Let's go. Right. If I didn't allow people to inquire, then I would not be connected to the one who is the ultimate answer to the inquiries. A 100%. And we're so excited for that. And it's going to be something that's not just for faith, and it's not just for business. It's going to be fun. We're going to worship together, and we're going to literally learn what the Spirit is telling you individually. And we want to steward that well with celebration. So it's going to be a good time. The book anthology party is going to be great. It's called Grow Your Business for God's Sake. the pun is intended, grow your business. But I want to put a fire behind you, and activation is a huge element about what I do. You can go to www.growforgod.com. Use the link that is below the show, and that's going to be Hope's experience for her affiliate. But I want you guys to be there. It's in Nashville, November 3rd through the 5th, and hopefully Ron will be joining us too.
Oh, it's going to be so good. I can't wait. And it's going to be at an amazing church. Right?
It is City Point Church. Absolutely. We're so excited for City Point. They have partnered with us, and we're so grateful for the space and even for their team. They have an incredible worship team that's going to be gifting our incredible worship team all of their instruments. So we're really excited.
I can't wait. So join us. And listen, Tamra does coaching. Just go to her website. See her website right there? Go to her website. She's got books. Just amazing of her story, kind of like my story. Get her books, go to her website. She's a coach. She can help you. She's a good girl. She is going to just pour into you. There is an investment, but in life,
everything has an investment.
Everything has an investment. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we'll see you guys who's listening right now who wants to grow your business for God in November. Tamra, we love you so much. Thank you for being
blessing.
Here.
Thank you, Miss Tamra.
Likewise. Can't wait to see you guys at your conference as well later this year.
Take care.